Hello, you join me in a big empty field. Well, at least it's kind of big and sort of empty. I think there's a dog walker up here, but essentially there's not an awful lot going on. And I've come here to test out my new drone, the DJI Mavic Pro. I haven't flown it yet. I got it out of the box last night. I've done a little unboxing video. This video is only really meant to be a little test video, partly to test my vlogging skills and mainly to test to make sure that the Mavic flies okay, and I know kind of what I'm doing with it for when I take it on holiday next week. It's only really intended for people that know me, and I doubt I'll get very many views, but if somehow this has gone viral on the internet and you're watching this and you don't know who I am, then sorry, this isn't going to be the best video in the world. As you can see, it's a pretty grotty grey day, and the visuals aren't going to be particularly stunning, and I'm probably not going to get any particularly cinematic video, so you know, it is what it is. If you're watching it, then you know, skip to something else if you want some brilliant quality video. I don't know whether you can see this okay. I mean, the sky's pretty blown out behind me. I'm just setting up the Mavic here. I have bought some extending legs for it, because the legs as standard on the Mavic are pretty blooming short. So all we have to do is fold out the little arms and one's on the bottom. Flip backwards like this, being careful not to bend the props. Apparently you don't have to flip the propellers out, but they seem kind of stiff, so I'm going to do that, at least, you know, some of the way. Now I'm going to put my extended landing gear on, because there's a good chance that I might be landing in the grass here, and I don't want it to damage the camera or the gimbal in any way. Okay, there we go with its legs. Don't know if you can see that. Okay, it's you probably can't. Remove the gimbal cover. Remove the gimbal clamp. Got to remember to do that before you start the motors up or turn the power on. Stick it on my little landing pad. It's not really a landing pad. Here's the remote control. Just folds out like this. Oh, I need to take the case off the phone, I think. I've seen videos where people say you don't have to take the case off the phone, but mine seems fairly thick and I don't seem to be able to get it into the controller. It's sort of slightly fiddly, but frankly It's still a lot easier than setting up the Phantom. Tiny little controller, you can see that. And because I've got a Sony Xperia and the USB socket is on the side, I can't use the fancy cables that fit in around the edge of the controller, so I have to use the included standard USB cable. Fortunately it's quite short, which is nice, so it does hang out the bottom, but hey, what you can do. Okay, so here's my drone on its sort of landing pad, and if I remember rightly, turn on the controller first. So now turn on the drone. Sings a little tune, get some flashing lights. And already the remote says GPS status is good and ready to go. Apparently I've got 16 satellites. Apparently I've got 16 satellites, which just wasn't possible on the Phantom 2 because it only used GPS. 17 now. Yeah, let's see what happens. So start the motors. Detecting an obstacle, which I think is a blade of grass. It's ready to take off. And straight away, look how stable that is. Now I'm just going to try out course lock mode. It's actually starting to rain, which is a bit annoying. I warned you this wasn't going to be the most cinematic. There is a cinematic setting actually, which I'll have to try at some point. I'm going to try out the point of interest feature, where you literally fly to above the point. That's actually quite cool. That worked well. It's got a low battery warning now at 30%. Probably in shot now. See, it's holding pretty stable, but it is wobbling around a bit in the wind. People say it's quieter than the Phantom, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to try landing it before I run out of battery. Okay, one great thing about it being so stable is that it's much easier to land than the Phantom. The Phantom, when you get it near the ground, you get the ground effect in and it starts wobbling around all over the place. I nailed the landing on my little landing pad straight away with that. Although it does pause until it's sure that it's okay to land, and you have to keep pulling down on the stick and then it'll go right down. The other interesting thing is that, and I've read about this, that there's no need to calibrate the compass. With the Phantom 2, the advice was to calibrate the compass every time you move to a different flying spot, which basically meant that I did it every time unless I was just swapping batteries and going from the same place. But on here it says do not calibrate the compass unless the aircraft tells you to, and it didn't tell me to, so it seems to have been fine. It's flown okay.